Good evening, everybody. It's time to refresh your screens. Make sure that you are able to watch this program. I'm Mark Simpson, and joining me is John Zaire. John, how are you?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm going to make sure that we've got our technology up and working. I see that mine somehow, for some reason, there we go. It's all working now. I'm Mark Simpson, as I mentioned, an independent distributor with LifeVantage. John and I are both Pro 5s in the business. And John, you actually brought, you were the first distributor to Mississippi, thereabouts?
Thereabouts, yeah. I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time, and what I have come to learn over the last few months is that we're all in the right place at the right time.
That's correct. I mean, it's all beginning. It's all relative with how early we are in this business. We're going to take just a few minutes. And hopefully, if you're joining us and you're not a part of LifeVantage, you have at least watched the video on Primetime Live, an investigative report aired in 2005 on the product Protandim. Protandim is it represents a sea change in our understanding of how to fight aging. It is a revolutionary shift in technology that we have the good fortune of being on the front end of things, right? Yeah. And John, what would you say to those who are considering the business, because we're going to be talking about the nuts and bolts of this business, and we have nothing to hide. We want you to know up front what this is about. But what would you say about the product as we lead into the business?
You often hear that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah. And what I have found is that this product represents a brand new paradigm in healthcare. 100 years ago, Louis Pasteur decided that germs were what causes disease.
Right.
An entire industry and an entire way of thinking about disease and health sprung from that discovery. And it changed the way people take care of themselves with antibiotics and washing hands and everything else. I believe that the discovery that Dr. McCord was in part responsible for making is as big a discovery as germs. Mm-hmm. If we had the opportunity 50 or 60 years ago to be the first distributors of penicillin.
Hey, that would have been nice.
And it's, I believe, on the same level of magnitude as that discovery and that opportunity.
Right. So, well, folks, we have something that technologically speaking or technically speaking, we have a NRF2 activator. We all have these pathways in our body that are responsible for firing and telling our DNA to make a set of survival genes that in turn produce enzymes that naturally fight antioxidants or free radicals rather in our body. Free radicals are nothing more than the toxic exhaust put off by our body when we burn energy. We burn energy by eating, breathing, exercising, existing. And so we all have free radical toxins building up in our body. And in our 20s, those NRF2 pathways start misfiring. As they misfire, the production of those survival genes and the enzymes that naturally hold at bay those free radical toxins, they misfire. We don't get the production. We don't have the production of the enzymes that gobble up those suckers. Then what happens? The enzyme, the free radicals take over the body.
Yep. No machine, whether it's your body or an automobile, uses all the fuel effectively.
Right.
You know, if a car used gasoline 100% effectively, you'd probably get 200 or 300 miles per gallon out of it. But what's not used is exhausted. It's a toxin, and food is the same way. Oxygen is the same way. There's always a waste product in the human body. It's free radicals, and they damage your cells, they damage your mitochondria, your DNA, and over time you sustain a level of damage to your body that results in what we call aging.
And how significant is this? If you go to pubmed.gov, that is the National Repository of Scientific Research, housed by the National Institutes of Health, the Library of Medicine. What you're going to find is if you type in that in the search field, oxidative stress, you're going to find that there are over 90,000 studies that have been done on oxidative stress. And that's significant. And that's why when ABC Primetime Live aired that one time, the investigative report on Protandim, which made a huge claim, 100% of mammals, when they take Protandim, within 30 days, their oxidative stress is baselined, reduced by 40 to 70%. Baseline, across the board. That when that being such a huge issue, oxidative stress, 28 universities came forward and said, hey, we want to study your product in relation to the disease states that we specialize in, because we know the link between oxidative stress and the disease that we specialize in. So you had LSU coming forward and saying, hey, we want to study this on skin cancer. Since that time, there have been 2 peer-reviewed studies released to the public that are on pubmed.gov that say, you know what, there's a link that's broken by taking this very product. 200 plus disease states. You have also Ohio State and heart disease, VCU, Harvard with muscular dystrophy. We can go on. The main thing is a lot of diseases, most diseases.
I'd say every disease.
Right. Has as its contributing factor, not causal, contributing factor, oxidative stress. Now, let me talk about the difference here. If I take 2 eggs out of your refrigerator, put them on the counter, now that might be kind of freaky if I sneak into your house and pull that out, but say you take 2 eggs out of your refrigerator, put it on the counter, and this is your first experiment with Protandim. Take 2 eggs out of your refrigerator, put it on the kitchen counter, leave for 2 hours. When you return, will you have brownies? I'd like to have some weigh in on this. You're not going to have any, and you can type in your questions, your comments, what have you. You're not going to have brownies because eggs don't cause brownies. Now, if you leave and somebody sneaks into your kitchen and mixes up with brownie mix a batch of brownies and you come back, it is a fair assumption and probably 100% accurate that there are eggs in the brownies. Eggs contribute to brownies. Now, why am I talking about brownies? If the eggs that contribute to brownies are rotten, what kind of brownies are you going to have? That's what we're talking about here. If your cellular level is diseased by oxidative stress, deteriorated, that's what you're bringing to the mix, and that's why we're seeing over 200 disease states impacted by oxidative stress. So it stands to reason, what kind of eggs do you want in the brownie mix?
I want good eggs.
You want farm fresh, good old eggs. And that's why these universities came forward. We already have 8 peer-reviewed studies. Now talk a little bit about peer-reviewed, what that means.
Peer-reviewed is the Cadillac of research. I could go home and in my garage I could mix some stuff up in a tube and I could feed it to some hamsters and I could say I did a study. And depending on what I wanted the study to prove, I could prove or disprove just about anything. For instance, I could prove that hamsters eating brownies is good, or hamsters eating brownies is bad, depending on what I wanted to prove.
Right.
Peer review means that after the research is done, it's given to an impartial panel of experts in that field, and the experts pick it apart. It's their job to find fault with the research, because there's research, there's science, and then there's junk science. And I would say that 95% of the stuff that we see on TV that makes claims about products, that makes statements about what something will or will not do, it's junk science. It's just marketing.
You could do your research on gerbils and brownies. You could hire your Uncle Mort, who happens to have a PhD or a MD in something, and say, look, I'll pay you if you'll be my scientific advisor and all of this. And you could throw it out there, but that's not peer-reviewed studies.
Right, right.
What happens with peer-reviewed? You're throwing it out there, and it's their ethical responsibility. All the experts in the field say, we're going to shoot a hole in it. If they can't shoot a hole in it, you've got real science.
It's real science.
And that's what we have, 8 peer-reviewed. There will be more to come, folks.
Yep.
And that's an important piece. And so what we want you to understand and why we're going into this is we have a paradigm shift. We have a product, the only product on the market, that in 100% of takers within 30 days, oxidative stress is baselined, reduced 40 to 70%. And that represents to the industry, there's a 30 to 40 billion dollar industry. The antioxidant industry is huge.
And the interesting thing to keep in mind about that is that 25 years ago, no one knew what an antioxidant was.
Right.
At one point, 25 years ago approximately, it was not known or understood that free radicals were causing damage.
Yeah.
We knew that if you leave a piece of iron out in the yard and it rains, it's going to rust, and that was oxidation. But it took a leap of faith and some serious science for Dr. McCord, among others, to discover that the same thing happens internally. And again, that was a legitimate breakthrough. That changed the way we see how the body works and how we age and how we get sick.
That it's an internal process
Right.
that's occurring in every single one of us on a cellular level.
Yeah.
Now, if an industry that is built, a $40 billion industry that's built on a myth that antioxidants curb that, what happens when we have the only product that indeed accomplishes that? It's the difference between a typewriter and a laptop.
Yep.
It's the difference between an 8-track tape and an iPod. It's a huge, huge shift here, folks. And we stand to be we're at the forefront of this technological shift when it comes to anti-aging with this product called Protandim. And I want to show you something very quickly. Then we're going to move into the nuts and bolts, because you need to capitalize on this wave. And the nuts and bolts that we're going to cover tonight will help you capitalize on this. Peter Drucker said that in every business, there's an experience of an S-curve. A business starts off and it follows the same pattern, right?
Right.
And what you have in the initial time is that of what?
Moderate, slow growth, laying down the infrastructure, getting ready.
Yeah, it's the pioneer phase.
Yeah.
Now that pioneer phase, what we find is that 80% of businesses are going to fail in the first 5 years during that pioneer phase. They just don't get off the ground.
Yeah.
If that business gets off the ground, Peter Drucker said, it goes into a phase where branding begins to occur. Nobody's heard of it. Everybody's going, what? CDs? What are CDs? And then all of a sudden people go, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Oh, I listened to one of those. And now you move from 10 out of 10 not knowing about a product to now 7, maybe 3 or 4 out of 10 know about it. Once branding occurs, a company moves into what's called critical mass and momentum, where 80% of the growth of that company is going to occur within a window of opportunity.
Yep.
Now, once it goes through that, it's going to stabilize, and you're going to be looking at 2 to 4% growth from there on out.
And where do you think we are right now in Protandim and
I
LifeVantage?
know where we are right now. We're right here. We are in the pioneer phase, folks. We haven't even hit the branding phase. And what we are doing, and if you're already a distributor with LifeVantage, what you've realized is we are at the right place. You are at the right place. We are all at the right place at the right time, because we're in that pioneer phase. We're ahead of the wave, and we're going to roll with it.
So you need to be armed, I believe. LifeVantage distributors need to be armed with a knowledge of both the product, of course that's important, but we need to understand where we are. If we were on the East Coast and we wanted to travel to the West Coast in a covered wagon, and we got through the Appalachians and past the Mississippi and suddenly found ourselves in endless miles of prairie, we might think, oh, I don't have any idea where I am.
Yeah.
So we need to know where we are so that we can keep our goal and our target, stay on target, and understanding that right now we're at the beginning of what will be a multi-billion-dollar company 5 to 7 years from now. You just have to know where you are so that you know what to expect, and that's why we wanted to do this podcast or this broadcast tonight.
We just finished year 2 of direct sales. Income, 38.9 million reported revenue.
Yeah.
We are now poised to explode. Now, 38 $8.9 million, multi-billion-dollar company.
Yep.
That's early, folks.
Yep.
That's very early. And how you build is going to determine how much of that you get to participate in and reap generational wealth that you can pass on and pass on and pass on.
I like how you say that, generational wealth. It's not just about making a few bucks right now. This is about a legacy.
This is legacy money, folks. For those who see this, who understand that we're not talking about, it costs $630 to get involved in LifeVantage. This isn't a $630 business. It's a $630 entry point, but it's an unlimited opportunity. So what we're going to talk about is getting started right. You've got to know that if in that pioneer phase, you're heading west, and it's not going to happen overnight. Right. We are not in a phase where you can hop on an airplane with this business, so to speak, and in just a few hours be at your destination. It's going to take really, what you need to understand is it's about a 24 to 36 month getting after it business. It's a business that you can learn while you earn. It's a business that you build as a plan B in the nooks and crannies of your plan A job, so that ultimately the plan B gives you options with your plan A.
So if I do this for a month and I'm not making $1,000 or $2,000 a month, is it time to quit?
No, it's time to readjust your expectations. That's unrealistic. My first month I didn't make $1,000. Yeah. My second month I didn't make $1,000.
Well, it's always surprising to people who don't know what to expect that you can work so hard and make so little.
The way you've got to look at this is you've got a 20-foot pipe, and when you start off, you have just a bucket of marbles, and you're putting marbles in the pipe. And the marble moves for every marble you put in. Now, when you put that first marble in, we want to tilt the pipe and see it roll out shoot out the. It's not a barrel, it's a pipe, and so you're feeding in, and you're feeding, and nothing's coming out the end. You're feeding, and nothing's coming out the end. Yep. And the person at a month is going, nothing's working. This doesn't work.
This is dumb.
This is stupid. I've got better. But what happens for the person that's continuing? All of a sudden, one trickles out,
yep.
And then two.
Yep.
And then three, and all of a sudden it starts really, and sometimes we make the mistake of running around and catching all the marbles, and we stop feeding more marbles, and we go, hey, it started taking off, but then it dried up. It's always the process of feeding marbles into one end of the pipe and taking care of the marbles that come out of the other end of the pipe. If you neglect either one, your business will fail. You've got to hit both ends.
This is a business that you have to understand. You have to take the time. You've invested $630, but now you have to learn how it works.
Yeah.
It's not it's a simple business, but it's not an easy business. And some people say that LifeVantage, network marketing, is a personal development course disguised as a business, because you have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to do things that you don't want to do. If this is a business that everybody could succeed at, and I mean everybody did succeed at, everybody would do it.
Right.
And that's not how it works. The way it works, like any skill, is you learn the principles, you learn the practices, and then you do that. And you do it again and again and again and again and again until one of my favorite people in LifeVantage, Gabe Pearson, phenomenal guy, intense, passionate, he loves what he's doing, he works very, very hard. Every time I hear Gabe, he says the same thing.
Right.
He gets better and better at it, and he's honing his skill. This is like building cabinets, or this is like sewing wedding gowns or something. It's not something you just do the first time that you try.
It's practice.
You got to practice.
One of the first things that I did is I went into my starter kit. When you get your Vantage Pack or your starter kit, there's a starter kit. And you open it up, and there are a series of DVDs and CDs. There's one that says The Antioxidant Myth. One of the things that I did right off the bat is I popped that in and I listened to it a half a dozen times. Every time I got in the car, I listened to it again, listened to it again, listened to it again, and it started making sense. Okay, now I got it. See, up until that point, I didn't have the categories by which to understand it. So I had to hear it repeatedly for it to begin to click.
Yeah.
It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that each and every one of you need to do, is to get that CD out that is Antioxidant Myth and listen to Dr. McCord talk about the shift of what we're looking at with Protandim.
And then keep in mind that when you introduce Protandim to one of your friends or prospects, they have to go through the same process. It's not something that you can just say, this is a better mousetrap, try it, because that's not good enough. They have to understand the magnitude and the action and the uniqueness of what we have, and that takes a while. We're not salespeople, we are educators.
Right. You know, somebody's calling you right now. They don't know that we're actually live and on the internet right now.
The nerve.
The nerve of them. Don't they know we're like streaming out to the world?
I know, there's billions of people watching us
There's
right
billions, right? Actually, there's a fewer than that. All right, so here are a few things that we're going to just zero in on. Getting started right. Starting this business, there are certain steps. And I like what Brandon Cunningham, he's Pro 8.
I believe he is.
In our company, there's 10 levels. His organization's doing over half a million?
It's got to be up there, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got
no, 200,000 is Pro 8. So he's way on up there. But here's the thing. He said, if you're baking cakes and you have a dent in your pan, every cake that comes out has a dent in it. So you want to make sure that the pan that you're using isn't dented.
Right.
Now, if you'll go to lvasap.com and scroll down to, I think, August 19th or 16th, somewhere in there, you will see that you can listen to him a little bit of getting started right. There's an audio from the Pro Audio series.
Yep.
And part of what I'm going to talk about comes from Brandon Cunningham.
Yep.
And part of this business is stealing success.
This is not rocket surgery.
Yeah, not rocket surgery or brain science. I mean, it's not. All right, so what we're going to do, my wife always accuses me of switching things around.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Maybe it's the Protandim.
I'm getting better at it because of Protandim. All right, so folks, here's what we're going to do. The first thing that I want you to do is when you start, before you speak to a single person, the first thing is you've got to understand your why.
Why?
Why are you doing this? When your why is strong, your how is easy. When your why is so tough, nothing's going to stand in the way. Now, one of my jobs, one of my businesses that I started with my wife is Marathon Makeover. We turn couch potatoes into marathoners. And we have trained over 2,500 couch potatoes how to become marathoners. We, in 2008, started franchising our business across the country. And we've seen the growth of our business continue to expand throughout the years. And it's been really exciting to see that. But here's the thing. In my business, our target market is 1/10%. That means 99.9% of people that we ask to come run a marathon with us laugh in our face and say, are you kidding? I'm not going to do that. Now, why do I keep doing that? The very first year I did this, there was a lady who all her life had carried the shame of her father-in-law, or her stepfather's abuse of her mother. So her mother was married to her stepfather who abused her. And so she grew up under that abuse, and she carried the shame of her mother's abuse at the hands of her stepfather. And she was ashamed, and she never talked to anybody about it. And one day she came up to me after about 16 miles, and she said, I figured out something today, or last week. And I said, what's that? And she said, I've been carrying around for too many miles in my life the shame of the abuse of my father-in-law, or my stepfather. I'm getting the titles. I do that, you know. But here's the thing. She said, I carried around the shame of the abuse that was in my family for too many years. And out on the road, I figured out that that wasn't my shame. I'm leaving it on the road. And for the first time in all of my adult life, I spoke to it to the ladies group that I'm a part of. I am free of that shame. That's my why. I will look at 100 people knowing that maybe one out of 100 will say, yes, because I hear that story over and over and over again of people saying it changed my life, it changed the way I parented, it changed my marriage, changed how I saw myself. That's a strong why that I will look in the face of anybody that laughs at me and says, "You're not holding a gun to me, I'm not going to run 26.2 miles. Next. Now the beauty of this business is that we have something that doesn't require you to run 26.2 miles.
Thank God.
Yeah. And it doesn't require 40 weeks of training. It's a pill a day, and 60% of the households already have an antioxidant that doesn't work. So my strong why is I'm going to help people quit wasting their money, and in the process help those that I care about create a major stream of income for them and their family. That's my strong why. So when some goober says, "That stuff doesn't work," next. It doesn't matter. My why is stronger than your excuse.
Yeah.
What's your why?
My why has to do with my family, my kids, my wife, and wanting them to be proud of me and wanting to leave a legacy. Wanting my kids 50 years from now to look back and say, what Dad did back there with that product, with Protandim, that was really smart.
Yeah.
And to enable them to have the kind of track record of success that I want them to be on. Now, typically, your why is not going to be something as small, although, of course, money is very important, but if your why is...
Especially if you don't have it.
Especially if you don't have it.
Yeah.
If your why is, I want to make $1,000 a month, or $5,000 or $50,000 a month, yeah, what are you going to do with $50,000? You can't eat it. You can't blow your nose in it. There's just not a lot. Nobody really wants money. They want what money can buy.
Right.
They want some kind of freedom. They want to be able to contribute to someone or something. They want to change the world in some way. There's nothing wrong with earthly pleasures as long as you don't go overboard, but having money is not the end. It's a vehicle, it's a medium.
They say that Thomas Edison viewed money as a resource.
Yes.
The value is in what he can accomplish with it,
Yeah.
not just in the paper of it.
Right.
So that's important to keep in mind. Now, we were talking earlier about a conversation I had earlier in the day with a friend of mine named Doc. And we were talking about children and adults and goals. And I said, it's a good thing that adults aren't the ones that are learning to walk. Because the first time they fall down, they'd say, "Oh my gosh, I hope nobody saw that. I'm too embarrassed. I'm going to stick with crawling." Children, their ego's not wrapped up in it. They fall down, they pull up, they take a step, they fall down, their diaper goes squish, and they pull back up and go again. Because they want to get across the room. And Doc looked at me and he said, it's because their goal is bigger than their ego. I want you to think about that. If your goal, your why is strong, it has to be bigger than your ego, because people are going to tell you, you're nuts, you're stupid, you're this or that. Oh, I don't believe in that stuff. And if you've got a weak ego or a weak goal, you're going to cave. Oh my gosh, my friends think I'm nuts. I'm not going to do that. Let's go back to crawling. Yeah.
One of the things that they say about coming up with your why is that your why should make you cry. If your why, if your reason for picking up the phone to call a friend is not compelling, if it doesn't really touch you in here, then it's real easy to decide, well, my desk needs to be organized. Or, I forgot to do the inside of the car windows. I better do that right now. If you got something that is eating at you, something that is calling to you, something that is truly important to you, and you attach that to this. Listen, Protandim is a fantastic product. It's a life-changing product.
Yeah.
LifeVantage is a phenomenal company. I've had the opportunity to meet some of the top people in the company, both distributors and people in corporate end of things. I like it.
Yeah.
The compensation plan is fabulous. It's the best I've ever seen. But all that stuff is secondary. It's a vehicle to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
You could do the exact same thing with Amway. You could do the same thing with Mary Kay.
Except for timing.
Except for timing.
Now let me just say something. Have we spoken to any prospects yet?
No.
We haven't even talked about prospects, and I know you're going, but let's get to the prospects. What have we touched on? Build your belief. Get antioxidant myth out and start listening to it. Build your belief. You've got to believe in the product. That's huge. We're not even talking about people yet. You've got to define your why. If you don't have belief and you don't have why, it doesn't matter what we teach you about inviting. You're not going to succeed.
It's like finding a date.
Mm-hmm.
If you find a date, you might go out and have a good time and you might enjoy yourselves, but when you fall in love, it changes your behavior.
Yes.
You wake up early thinking about him or her, you stay up late at night, you're eaten up by something, by a desire to do something extraordinary. And I am firmly of the belief that this is an opportunity to do something extraordinary. This is a vehicle. This is an opportunity for you to invest your passion. In our culture and in the world, we've all been burned.
Yeah.
We've felt foolish. We've made dumb decisions. We've had egg on our face. And as you said, the baby gets up and tries to walk again. If we stop because we've failed in the past, we're only half alive. Malcolm Forbes said, while alive, live.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. This is an opportunity for you to share with your friends the opportunity to come alive. You know, if you could give the most important gift that you could give anyone would be something that lights them up.
Right.
And this, for me, is that.
Well, folks, belief, strong why. Those have to, within your first 24 hours, you need to sit down and you define. You start building your belief right off the bat. You go to lifevantage.com and plug into True TV and start watching Dr. McCord, watching Jason Domingo, watching the different videos that are present. Build your belief. Secondly, define your why. You've got to have it. And then the next step. We haven't mentioned it to a soul. We haven't gone and talked about somebody. We're not in the parking lot just signing up to already calling our buddy like a good friend of mine did, saying, hey, and trying to explain superoxide dismutase, and they know that yesterday he didn't have a clue what that was. We're not doing any of that. Then within that first 24 hours, we're going to sit down and we're going to build our business list or database. Now, how important is a database?
Well, if you don't have an inventory of people to call, if you put the names of 10 of your friends on a piece of paper that's probably going to get lost, you're going to run out of people to call very quickly.
Right.
If you have 2 or 3 or 500 people who you know, at least to some degree, your friends, your acquaintance, they know who you are, and you call 10 of those people and you've got 490 left, you're not going to feel a sense of scarcity, like, I don't know who to call.
Right.
And statistics show that the average American knows some place in the neighborhood of 1,000 to 2,000. It's more than you think. If you think you don't know very many people, you know a lot more than you think you do.
Well, here's what we're going to do with our database. If you have already received your starter kit, you're going to pull out the blueprint. All right? And in that, there's a memory jogger in the second page of the database. And you're going to start reading through that, and you're going to say, who do I know that who's been in network marketing? Who do I know that needs to lose weight? Who do I know that
does stucco work?
Yeah, does stucco work. Whatever. You just start writing names down. Another way to do it, and what I did before I even received my kit, is I grabbed the yellow pages. I opened up the yellow pages to A. And I said, adoption services. Who do I know who is adopted, has adopted, could have been adopted, is adopting, and I started writing down names. Air conditioning. Who do I know who lives in air conditioning? Who do I know who's in the air conditioning business? I started writing down those names. Who do I know who's complaining about their air conditioner going out? Writing those names down. Attorneys. Okay, I'm going to put down attorneys. and I kept going, and I went from A to Z, and I wound up with about 60 names. And I thought, 60? Then I went over to Facebook, and I realized I have 500 friends. Now,
560.
Is that how many I got?
Well, 60 plus 500.
But don't do a blast. We're still not talking to any of them.
Nope.
I know. I'm going to blast out that there is a way to use Facebook that works. There is a way to use Facebook that doesn't work. I have 9,000 people on an email database of mine. You don't send out an email blast to 9,000 people. I learned the hard way. I did that. 2 customers. It's not the way to do it. This isn't email marketing. This is network marketing. Relationships, people connecting with people. But we're going to come up with that database. Now, I want to do something real quickly. We're coming up on 50 seconds. Right now, you have 60 seconds. Pull out your piece of paper right now, and I want you to come up with 10 names right now.
You at home.
You at home right now. You better have a piece of paper with you. Start jotting it down, typing it down, pop up another window, start typing. We are at 20 seconds.
Family, friends, contractors, people that provide you with services, people that you pay your bills to.
Who's on a diet? Who needs to be on a diet? Who's got bad breath?
Who's in your cell phone? I
Yeah.
wasn't going to say anything about that, but
Yeah.
just keep going. Do not censor. Don't say they wouldn't be interested. Just write names. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Any names. Just
All
get
right,
them down
we've
on
got 10
paper.
more seconds. Keep writing those names.
You can do it. Just focus. Just think of names. Your extended family, your
Yeah.
relatives, your
Few more
mother-in-law.
seconds.
Well, she
All
might
right.
not need it or want
All right,
it.
let me tell you something. If you sat down and wrote down names right now, we're going to contact those people. I did that last night. No, Tuesday night. Let me rephrase that. I did that Tuesday night. My nights are running together with Jeff. Jeff enrolled Tuesday night. Jeff, 60 seconds. Give me 10 names. 40 seconds, he gave me 10 names. I said, all right, we're going to go through these. And then I go into, I want you to put a 1, 2, or 3 next to the names. Ones are names that they're your closest of closest buds that you can pick up the phone and say, get your credit card out, get your debit card out, we're about to make money, you're going to be in this. Everybody has 1, 2, or 3 people in their life. They might all say no, but they're close enough that you can say, get ready, we're about to make money. You put a 1 next to those, maybe 1, 2, or 3 people in your life like that. Then 2 is the number next to people you go, I'd like for them to be in this business with me, but I can't approach them that way. 3 is everybody else that is alive, that you're really thinking that they'd make a good customer. Now, all of them we're going to approach as customers, but here's the thing. Jeff did that. The very next morning, he calls up a number 1 on his list, and he says, we're about to do something, and we're going to make some money off of it. What is it? I want you to watch a video. What is it? It's an 8-minute video. Watch it. He watched it. That very morning, he goes, I'm in, you're in, I'm done. Boom, 210 bucks.
Wow.
Today, that was Wednesday, he did the exact same thing. It's Thursday, signed up his second distributor.
Woo.
There you go, Jeff, right there. And it came right off of his 60 seconds, 10 names, boom. In 60 seconds, he made $420.
That's amazing.
Have you ever made 420 bucks in 60 seconds?
And John Quinones helped him.
And John Quinones did it, and he got on the phone. And you know what he did? And we're going to talk about it in a second. He didn't say superoxide dismutase. He didn't say protandem. He said, watch it, and then I'm calling you back, and he put me on the phone. And he went, shut up. That's all he did.
Folks, this is fundamentally important. Do these things. This isn't just good ideas, and it's not silly. You might think, I don't have to do that. If you do that, it works. Now, you own your own business. You have your own LifeVantage business. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But what we're recommending is things that work. If you want your business to work, if you want your business to grow, do the things that successful people do. Mark is very successful in recruiting people. He's done phenomenally well in the last 31 days. And he knows exactly A, B, C, how to do this. If you, in any other business, if you started a new business or started a new job and showed up on the first day and the boss told you, I want you to do this, this, and this, and you said, I think I'm going to do that, that, and that, you're probably not going to be there very long.
Right, so true.
This works.
And folks, as one distributor who wouldn't work the system said, because somebody was with him and said, hey, you know what, 60 seconds. I said, take baby steps. Look, If you go slow, you only have one chance to get out of the gate. And if you go slowly, everybody else is going to go slowly. The speed of the leader becomes the speed of the group. Y'all, this is a gold rush. It is a yellow pill gold rush, and I am not treating this like a $600. If I had treated it like a $630 business, I would have been done. I'm glad I've traded it like a much more valuable business because I've made back my money, then some, and then some, and then some.
And that speaks to what you said about belief levels. You have to immerse yourself in this, because when you immerse yourself, you will find that this is a gold rush. And the miners didn't say, well, let's take the covered wagons. We'll stop in Nebraska. Then we're gonna go to Oklahoma City and visit Aunt Tilly.
They're riding that horse. Just let's get there fast. Yeah. All right. So the first thing is we've made our list. We've made our list. We've come up. And the list is something you can. I've added 5 people to my list this week.
Spend $2. Get a notebook that's nothing but your list.
Brandon Cunningham says, if you think it, ink it. And the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. So if you think it, ink it, put it down, it will escape. All right. Once we have come up with our database, we still haven't talked to anybody yet. Not alone. All right. And we've identified, then we go into the inviting. Inviting is important. Inviting is the most important part of your business up front until your, as one said, your invitation is more important than your presentation. Because right now your presentation is your upline. You're not the presenter. You're just the inviter. If you're the presenter, you're going to go down in flames. I am more, I can just, the people that aren't growing, they're the presenter. They're presenting for their prospects.
You are not the message, you are the messenger.
And you're the bridge, because you're inviting them to watch a video. You're inviting them to talk to your upline. You are not the presenter.
And if you get sucked into their answering their questions, which is just a natural human tendency, they ask a question, what is it? Oh, gosh, how do I explain this? I don't know.
It's a video.
Watch it, it's a video. Do me a favor.
Well, what's it about? I'm not smart enough to explain it. That's why I want you to watch the video.
What is it about? It's about 8 minutes long.
Yeah. It's an ABC primetime video. Watch the video. I like, Derek, I'm using what Derek said. Derek is somebody that I brought into the business. He's mad at me.
What?
He said, you weren't more persistent than me. It took you 3 weeks to get me to sit down, and then I said yes. I wish you had grabbed me by the collar, because I would have been 3 weeks ahead. Now, but his thing is, if somebody says, what is it? And he goes, I'm not smart enough to tell you. That's why I got a video. Watch the video. And they say, well, what is the video? He goes, are you in front of a computer right now? And this is where you do not give away the link until they're BIS. You know what BIS is?
I think I can guess.
Butt in seat. Do not.
Is that a lot like AIS?
Yeah, I said BIS.
Okay.
Yes.
We're keeping it clean.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If you say, hey, when you get around to it, watch this link and let me know what you think, you're going to chase them and chase them and chase them. They're not going to get around to it.
Okay. My parents gave me a little wooden coin once that
I got one
said
of those.
Round to it, and
yeah.
I kept it with me all the time.
All right, let's keep moving forward. And the reason why I say that is the invitation has to be done with urgency, and you've got to make sure they're ready to watch it when you give it to them. I use primetime2005.com. It's a 15-minute video. It's broken into 2 halves, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. So urgency has to be there. If you say, hey, when you get a chance, look at this link, not going to happen.
Right.
Hey, do you have 8 minutes right now to watch something?
You need to let them know this is important. This isn't just optional. This is important to you.
Yeah.
It might not be important to them yet, but if you let them know it's important to you and you do the things that you would normally do, if this was, if the house was on fire, you wouldn't knock on their door and say, hey, when you get around to it, your garage is about to come down.
Yeah.
You would let them know that this is important. Hurry up! Do it now!
That's it. Look, you got to do this now. And if they say, do you have 10 minutes or 8 minutes right now to watch it? No. When will you?
Yeah.
7 o'clock. I'll call you then. Make sure you're in front of a computer. Do not give them the link until their butt is in the seat in front of the computer. Then you call back at 7. You in front of the computer? Yes. Type this in. All right. I haven't said anything about Dr. McCord, superoxide dismutase, Protandim, nothing like that. Then once their butt's in the front of the seat and you hear John Quinones, you say, pay particular attention to the first 8 minutes. It's 15 minutes long, but you can stop after 8 if you want to. I'm calling you back in 15.
And if you feel uncomfortable when someone says, no, I'm not in front of my computer, when will you be? About 7 o'clock. Just, can you give me the link and I'll check it out? No, I'm not going to give it to you. I'll call you back at 7 o'clock and give you a little bit more information. Just put them off. You can be nice about it,
yeah.
And you can, so it makes sense. You don't want to act weird.
But you know what? I don't know. Derek had somebody that said, oh, I am not in front of the computer. I will tomorrow. What is it? He says, it's a video. I'll call you tomorrow at the time. And I said, well, what is it? I'm not smart enough to be able to explain it. That's why I want you to watch the video. I'll call you then with the link. Mm-hmm. Well, he started getting texts. What is this? Can't you tell me a little bit? And he kept saying, no, we've got a date. It's 7 o'clock. And this person was just like, okay, I want to see this. All right?
Yeah.
Now,
that's good.
We're giving it with urgency, and this is going to sound kind of contradictory, but we're approaching it with detachment.
Yep.
You know what? You don't need them to do the business. You want them to do the business, but you do not need them to do the business. I have found in 5 months there are plenty of people that go, I'm in. I've had some that go, I signed up a distributor today who took me 3 months of just dripping. He saw it. There was something there that said, keep dripping,
Yep.
but he wasn't ready to pop.
Yep.
But here's the thing, is those people that, I had a guy that go, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. I don't need you, okay, bye. I like you as a friend, but I don't need you in my business. You don't need them, you want them. But if they don't want it, next.
You want to work with people that you enjoy spending time with.
Yes.
If you have to harangue someone and drag them into this business, you're going to have to drag them and harangue them to keep them in.
You can't push a wet noodle.
Yeah.
You can't push a rope.
It's just not worth it.
You want the people that see what you saw who are going to jump in. And they're coachable, they're team members, and they're willing to work with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to build our business list. We're going to invite. We're inviting with urgency. We don't give the link until their butt is in the seat. And then we're going to detach. You know what? I'm offering you a stick of gum, as Brandon Cunningham says. If you don't want my gum and you want to keep your bad breath, I'm not offended. I'm just going to kind of turn my head a little bit.
Right.
But when you figure out you've got bad breath, you're going to come and say, now you had gum. That's all. You're urgent and dispassionate.
Yeah, not attached.
Yeah, I always say, if it grabs you like it grabs me, we got something to talk about. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. You spend 8 minutes figuring out what you're not interested in. But I think you're going to need to watch this.
Yeah. Another saying in the network marketing industry is SW, 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 which stands for some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting.
Yeah.
So just find someone else to talk to.
The person who gets the most no's wins. This is not a selling business. All the salespeople tank. This is a sifting business. You have a bucket of 100 oysters. 5 of them have pearls. If you open up the first oyster and there's no pearl, do not spend 30 minutes trying to convince them to spit out a pearl. Shuck, throw it away, keep going, keep shucking. You know, the biggest mistake is somebody going, I'm gonna talk you into it. I have a customer who became a distributor, but I said, when will you be in front of a computer? She said, I'm in front of one now. Do you have 15 minutes to watch something? Sure. I gave her the link. 15 minutes later, she called me up and she said, "Are you taking this stuff?" "Yeah." She said, "Oh my gosh, how'd you know I was obsessed with anti-aging? How do I get this stuff?" "I can get it for you." There are plenty of people like that. A month later, I texted her and I said, "How's the Protandem experience?" "Great." I said, "I'm looking to expand into Alabama. Are you interested? Do you know anybody who could help me with this?" "I'll do it." You're sifting, looking for those. Quit trying to sell.
It's a sifting business. It's not a sales business. And you will do what Mark said. You will want someone because you see their greatness. You see that this would be perfect for them. And some will and some won't. There's nothing you can do to change or to open a closed mind. Time and circumstances may change their response to your invitation.
Yeah.
And it's not really an invitation if you have to coerce them. If you're having a birthday party and you had to coerce someone to come, what kind of a party would that be?
Yeah, and a big reason why I don't give out the link until their butt is in the seat is I want to keep them as a friend. You know what? I don't want to chase you. I want in 10 minutes to determine whether or not we need to talk. And if after 10 minutes we don't need to talk, we'll talk about golf. We'll talk about running. We'll talk about something else, our kids. Yeah. And I'm not going to talk to you about this. That's why I want you to do it once. I'm not going to chase you so that they're now going, "Oh my gosh, every time he comes, he's going to ask me again." So if you want to keep your friendships, don't give away the link until they're BIS.
And the irony is that if you're unattached, they're going to be more interested than if you pursue them.
Yeah.
People don't like to be pursued.
All right, I want you to talk real quickly about using the three-way phone call. Because what we've done is we're building our list. We're now inviting them to watch the video. You can't do better than John Quinones. Don't try. You're just trying, you're moving them as the bridge to watch the video. Now they're watching the video, three-way phone call.
Okay, so after they've completed watching the video and you call them back, the question, this is not a question, this is the question to ask them. What did you like best about that?
Say that again.
What did you like best about that?
Why not, what did you think?
Because they've got crazy thoughts. We're all a little bit goofy in the head. And if you ask them, what did you think? They're going to come up with all kinds of stuff. This is like something, or what is this? Or now they're going to get to those questions pretty soon.
Sure.
But if you can provoke them to say something positive, then that is the right level to start this conversation on.
And you know which way to go.
Yeah.
All right? So what did you like about that?
Well, I liked that, that doctor seemed to know what he's talking about, and, this sounds like the real deal. I mean, it sounds like a real product.
I've heard, well, I like anything that's going to reduce my oxidative stress, or sometimes you hear, I like anything that's going to reduce stress. They're thinking stress.
Right.
Now, that's not my time to say, whoa, 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 whoa.
Right.
All right, so at that point, that they say, well, now how does this work? What do we do?
I don't know. That's not the answer to your question, but when they start asking questions, how does this work? Or is this network marketing? Or is this like ABC or something else? I don't know. But I have a friend named Mark who is really well informed about this. Let's get him on the line. He can answer all our questions.
Yeah.
So at that point, this is when you initiate the three-way call. You don't ask them, can you hold on a second? I want to see if he's available.
I'm going to get the answer for that. I'll be right back.
Yeah. You do it. You control this conversation. And that's one of the challenges that you have to overcome. You have to learn how to keep control of the conversation, gently, lovingly, compassionately. But I get Mark on the phone, and I introduce him. I have already said that Mark is a great guy. He knows all about this. He knows what he's talking about. He has the answers. They are going to hear Mark differently than they would hear me because they know that I don't know. I've already told them I don't know. Mm-hmm. And more than that, they're my friends, so they probably don't think very highly of me.
Well, here's how that might look. Say I'm on the phone with Chad, and you're on the phone there, and I say, I bring you in. That's a great question. I'm going to get the answer on that. I'll be right back. And I get you on the phone. I bring you back in. I go, Chad, I have on the line John. John is a good friend of mine and a partner with me in this business who knows far more than me. He's extremely knowledgeable, and he's been doing this much longer than I have. John, I want you to meet Chad. Chad is a good friend of mine. I think a lot of him, and he's got some questions. He's watched this video, and I wanted to, John, meet Chad. Chad, John.
Hey, Chad, how are you? Well, Mark says some wonderful things about you. He obviously thinks you're great, and I'm just here because I want to answer any questions you might have and see if this is something you want to pursue, either as a customer or if you're interested in looking at a tremendous business opportunity. My job in that call is to make a friend.
That's it. Now, I am not, I can hit mute and just listen. I don't interject. I don't jump in. I'm the bridge. I pieced them together, and then y'all go.
And I'm the expert from out of town. They are going to listen to what I have to say. And if you have some resistance to the idea of doing this because you're afraid that you're going to lose control, that you're going to, your friend, the three-way credibility party is going to say something silly or offend them, don't. It's just very easy. Yeah. It's very relaxed. It's a business of making friendships.
And I've been on calls that lasted 3 minutes. And I say, so you watched the video? Yeah. Is there anything that really interested you? Or what did you like the best? Nothing really. Okay, well, you know what? We sometimes have people that have that opinion. You know, so-and-so really thinks highly of you, and they just talked about how they really like you as a friend. And I'm wondering if you'd do them a favor. You may know somebody that this kind of stuff does interest them. Mm-hmm. And would you be willing to let him know who that is and maybe make the introduction? Sure. Okay, that'd be great. Well, look, it's great. I don't want to try and convince you. Otherwise, if that's not your thing, thanks for taking the 10 minutes to look at that. And hey, gone.
I like to acknowledge people.
Yeah.
Clearly, you respect your friend enough that you were willing to watch that video and make this phone call and listen in. And, you know, it's okay with me. It's okay with your friend. If this is not for you, it's fine. But he thought that you would want to know about it. And at some point in the future, if you want more information, he'll be happy to share it with you.
Now, one other twist, and then we're going to wrap this up, is sometimes I find it more comfortable to do a three-way phone call this way. When I hear John Quinones, they say, look, while you're watching that, I'm going to run, I got to make some phone calls, I'll call you back in 15 minutes. Then I call John or Fred or whomever's available, and I get on the phone and say, look, I've got somebody watching this video. Then what I do is when it's time to call back, I just go ahead and three-way them in, and I say, look, just right up front, I want you to know I've got John on the line. We were in the middle of conversation when I realized it was time to call you back. And he's a partner with me related to this, and I just, I figured what great luck that I had him here. I tell you what, John, and I go back through, start right over there.
So you've got him on the line when you call back.
Just call right back. But I always do, look, I told you I was making a phone call, I had to make some phone calls, and it was time to call you back, and I thought, hey, I've got John, who knows a whole lot about this stuff, and I figured I'd follow up.
Smart.
So that is what, those simple steps. Build your business list, invite with urgency, you want them, detachment, you don't need them. Use the three-way phone call, don't you be the salesperson. Those in my organization that use three-way calls get customers and distributors. Those that duplicate themselves, those in our organization that sell it and they're the messenger, they add a distributor or they add a customer, but they don't duplicate. It's kind of like a mule. You know, a mule is a cross of a donkey and a horse, but it doesn't duplicate.
Why don't they call them dorses?
I don't know. So you want to be a horse or a donkey, but you don't want to be a mule. Okay, you can be either one, and replicate. But when you're the salesperson, you won't ever replicate. You're just going to be a mule.
Yep.
So we want to respect your time. This is the end of the formal stuff, the inviting, the three-way phone call. Use that. I do want to open it up. If you have any questions, you can type it in the bottom here. We'll take a little bit of time, take as much time as we need to answer any questions, if there are any, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to give you a few seconds. Type in your questions. If there are none, we'll just give it a wrap. So I know there haven't been any posted up to this point. Any questions? Are they out there? It's very simple to type in. Anything you would add in closing?
You know, there's close to 6 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
Every one of them eats and breathes. And if you talk to 10 people and then you figure, well, I'm done, I've talked to everybody I know, you need to open your thinking a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have a whole lot of questions. We've answered a lot of things, covered them. Get with your upline. Work with whoever you see that's building and working in teamworks. You link up with them, okay? So who's making the brownie? Hey, I'd love some brownies about right now. I haven't had supper yet. So who's making the brownies?
And who's bringing them over here?
Who's bringing them right here to the Marathon Makeover offices? That's what I want to know. But look, if you're the person that brought you into this business, kind of birthed you but then abandoned you, you've been getting, you call somebody, you're getting messages from John, you're getting messages from Fred, from me, from whomever, or if you're not in our direct organization, whoever's sending out those encouragement emails, you call them up and say, I need help. I need a teammate. They will bend over backwards to help you because we're a business that rewards for teamwork.
Yeah.
Thank you so much and for joining in. And next week, we will again have a Thursday night streaming, and it will be purely a business opportunity presentation. Build for this. Get people anywhere in the country to tune in. lfvnstream.com, 7 p.m. Central Time, and we'll be here. I think Fred will be back in town.
I think he will.
And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.